Welcome everyone. For medical and pharmacology students, drug interactions are one of the most high-yield topics in your university professional exams. Today, we are reviewing 8 critical drug interactions using an exam-ready, four-heading framework covering the drug descriptions, the interaction type, the exact textbook mechanism of action, and the clinical management. Let's jump right in. Slide number 1 covers aspirin plus warfarin. For your drug descriptions, remember that aspirin is an NSAID acting as an antiplatelet agent by irreversibly inhibiting COX-1, while warfarin is an oral anticoagulant acting as a vitamin K antagonist. The type of interaction is mixed, involving both pharmacodynamic and pharmacokinetic pathways. Looking at the mechanism of action, the pharmacodynamic component shows a synergistic effect where antiplatelet action augments the anticoagulant state. Pharmacokinetically, aspirin displaces warfarin from its albumin binding sites, spiking free plasma warfarin levels. For your clinical management, doctors must avoid this co-prescription, tightly monitor the INR, and screen for clinical signs of hemorrhage like petechiae or melena. Moving to slide 2, ibuprofen plus corticosteroids. Under drug descriptions, classify ibuprofen as a non-selective NSAID and corticosteroids as systemic glucocorticoids. The type of interaction here is strictly pharmacodynamic. The mechanism of action involves additive mucosal injury via a dual pathway blockade. Gastric cytoprotection relies on prostaglandins. While ibuprofen directly blocks COX enzymes, corticosteroids inhibit phospholipase A2 upstream. This shuts down prostaglandin synthesis completely, stripping the stomach of its defenses and exposing it to acid. For clinical management, minimize concurrent use, co-prescribe a proton pump inhibitor like omeprazole for gastroprotection, and consider selective COX-2 inhibitors as an alternative. Slide 3 is a classic exam favorite, paracetamol plus alcohol. Your drug descriptions are paracetamol, a central analgesic and antipyretic, and alcohol, a hepatic microsomal enzyme modulator. This is a pharmacokinetic interaction occurring during the metabolism phase. The mechanism of action is driven by enzyme induction. Chronic alcohol consumption induces hepatic CYP2E1. This overactive pathway rapidly shunts paracetamol metabolism toward the production of a highly toxic metabolite called NUPCI. This completely exhausts hepatic glutathione stores, leaving NUPCI free to bind covalently to liver proteins, causing acute centrolobular hepatic necrosis. To tackle this clinically, counsel chronic alcohol users to heavily restrict paracetamol intake, and if toxicity occurs, immediately administer the antidote N-acetylcysteine to restore glutathione. Slide 4 covers rifampicin plus oral contraceptives. Our drug descriptions note rifampicin as a first-line macrocyclic antitubercular antibiotic and oral contraceptives as combined pills containing synthetic estrogen and progestin. This is a pharmacokinetic interaction in the metabolism phase. The mechanism of action is hepatic enzyme induction. Rifampicin is a potent inducer of the CYP3A4 isoenzyme. This significantly accelerates the oxidative metabolism and clearance of estrogen and progestin in the liver. As a result, plasma hormone concentrations drop below the therapeutic threshold, causing contraceptive failure. For clinical management, doctors must counsel the patient on this risk and strongly recommend the use of non-hormonal backup barrier methods, like condoms, during and immediately after the antibiotic course. Next is slide 5, tetracycline plus antacids. For your drug descriptions, tetracycline is a broad-spectrum bacteriostatic antibiotic inhibiting the 30S ribosome, while antacids are acid neutralizers containing divalent or trivalent metallic cations like calcium, magnesium, or aluminum. This is a pharmacokinetic interaction specifically affecting the absorption phase. The mechanism of action is chemical chelation. In the GI tract, the functional groups of tetracycline bind directly with these metallic cations, forming a highly stable, insoluble chelte complex. This massive complex cannot be absorbed across the intestinal mucosa, destroying the drug's bioavailability. Your clinical remark is simple: enforce strict dosing separation. Instruct the patient to take tetracycline either 2 hours before or 4 to 6 hours after any antacids or dairy products. Slide 6 handles cardiovascular therapy, ACE inhibitors plus potassium-sparing diuretics. For drug descriptions, ACE inhibitors block angiotensin to synthesis to lower blood pressure, while potassium-sparing diuretics block aldosterone receptors or NAC channels in the collecting duct. The type of interaction is purely pharmacodynamic. The mechanism of action centers on additive potassium retention. ACE inhibitors lower aldosterone, which reduces renal potassium excretion. Potassium-sparing diuretics independently shut down potassium clearance. Together, they cause a synergistic retention effect, spiking serum potassium levels into dangerous hyperkalemia. To manage this clinically, doctors must perform baseline and regular follow-up serum electrolyte and creatinine checks, while advising patients to strictly avoid potassium supplements or potassium-based salt substitutes. Slide 7 breaks down beta blockers plus verapamil. For drug descriptions, beta blockers are beta-1 receptor antagonists that decrease sympathetic cardiac drive, and verapamil is a non-dehydropyridine calcium channel blocker with high myocardium selectivity. This is a highly critical pharmacodynamic interaction. The mechanism of action is synergistic cardiodepression. Both drug classes exert negative inotropic, chronotropic, and dromotropic effects. Beta blockers reduce CAMP-mediated calcium availability, while verapamil directly blocks L-type calcium channels. This dual inhibition profoundly suppresses SA and AV node conduction, risking severe bradycardia and complete heart blocks. For clinical management, this combination is generally contraindicated in patients with conduction diseases. If dual rate control therapy is mandatory, substitute verapamil with a vascular selective dehydropyridine like amlodipine. Finally, slide 8 details digoxin plus verapamil. Under drug descriptions, digoxin is a cardiac glycoside that inhibits the sodium-potassium ATPase pump, while verapamil remains a cardiac selective calcium channel blocker. This is a pharmacokinetic interaction affecting the excretion phase. The mechanism of action relies on transporter inhibition. Digoxin is cleared via renal tubules using the P-glycoprotein efflux pump. Verapamil acts as a competitive inhibitor of this exact P-glycoprotein transporter. By blocking the pump, verapamil reduces digoxin's renal clearance, causing serum digoxin levels to build up rapidly, crossing the threshold into digitalis toxicity. To tackle this clinically, doctors must proactively reduce the digoxin maintenance dose by 30 to 50% when initiating verapamil, while monitoring serum digoxin levels and cardiac rhythms closely. That completes a high-yield breakdown of these 8 crucial drug interactions. Writing these out under these exact 4 headings will guarantee maximum marks in your pharmacology exams. Make sure to save this video for your revision, and I'll see you in the next lecture.